All right, what's going on, NavalX community? Super excited to bring you Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Newell. Brandon is coming to us from MCAS Miramar, actually from his backyard with his awesome orange tree, but close enough. And Brandon's doing some incredible things out there for the Marine Corps, for humanity in general. And I'm going to take you on a journey where actually he's going to take you on a journey about his time in the Marine Corps, the 5G Living Lab, what that is, what it took to become that, and the great work they're doing there. His time with his family across his Marine Corps service, what it meant to serve, and how awesome his incredible wife has been throughout his service, his passion for leadership of character in his 20 years in the Marine Corps, and currently his passion for unlocking innovation and the partnerships between industry, academia, and the government. Brandon, how's it going?
Oh, it's awesome, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited to talk about the things we've been doing and just sharing your storytelling.
Fantastic. All right, here we go, folks.
All right, great. So, Brandon Newell, I'm the director of the SoCal Tech Bridge for NavalX. And what that means is it's my job to help unlock non-traditional partnerships for emerging technology on behalf of the Department of the Navy here in San Diego. And so my other title is for the Marine Corps, where I lead the Installation Next program for our Marine Corps Installations West. And what that means is smart cities for bases. And so we bring those two programs together to not only unlock emerging capabilities like 5G or unmanned vehicles or counter intrusion systems on a base, but so that we can also understand what those capabilities look like from an R&D perspective on the battlefield.
Fantastic. And do you love what you do?
Oh man, I love it. I can't believe it. You know, I'm coming on 20 years in the Marine Corps. I've been doing this the last 4, and I pinch myself every day, you know, because somehow we've created a world where I get to use just about every skill that I can bring to bear, you know, to the betterment of the Navy and Marine Corps. And you can't ask for more than that, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. So was there a 10-year-old Brandon that always wanted to be a Marine? How did that journey become?
Well, I remember being 17. I was, you know, finishing up my junior year, and I was looking at myself and I said, okay, what do people think I stand for? You know, it's a weird thing for a 17-year-old to say maybe, but that's what happened. And I was like, man, I don't think I stand for anything at the time. And so I thought about, you know, how I was going to pay for school in college. And so recognizing that my uncle was a 32-year colonel, my cousin was in ROTC at the time in Tulane in New Orleans. And so I'm a Louisiana boy. I looked at this and I was like, you know what, I'm trying to go to ROTC. And so I applied to ROTC. I needed discipline. I was skilled, but I lacked the discipline. And so I knew the Marine Corps would find a way to teach me that, and initiative. And again, that, you know, standing for something larger than myself.
That's incredible. And did you say you started enlisted or did you go straight to officer?
Yeah, so I went ROTC. So I was at Louisiana State University, LSU Tigers. Louisiana, that's like a religion to us. And my ROTC was actually at Southern University, a historical black school in Baton Rouge, about 25 minutes away. So I'd go back and forth. I'd have all of my ROTC classes and all of my drill and exercise at about, 5 in the morning. And then I'd go back to class at LSU. So it wasn't your typical college life.
Hey, but you made it and you still love what you do today. So you
Yeah,
can't ask
you
for
know,
more
I
than
was
that.
going to be 4 years and that was it. You know, this was, I think people that even met me in my first year in the Marine Corps, they knew, you know, I had a lot of interest. I was doing a lot of other things, and they're like, man, I don't even know if you can focus for 4 years on this. And so you fast forward, and you know, the Marine Corps has been incredible for me and my family. it's created a foundation for us as a family, but also for me professionally. It's given me that larger mission. And then it's, the structure that I've been able to innovate on top of has really benefited me. If everything was up to me those early years, I might have not been able to handle it. But the structure I was able to live within, operate in, be caught up in, if you will, all through the years has really, benefited me.
That's fantastic. So you said at 17, you're kind of deciding what you stood for. Does the 17-year-old Brandon stand for the same things now?
No way. He wasn't mature enough. Now it's about helping show the world what it can be, helping show our society what it can be. It's something I'm passionate about. You're a great example of this. I call it a lifetime of leadership. We take folks, men and women across the country, and we make them leaders of character, right? We build them up, we cultivate them, they become leaders of character. But what we don't do well is help them understand what they're passionate about. So they take those leadership traits and that character and walk out the Marine Corps and remain a leader. And they lead in something that they are passionate about. And you can see across our society, we need leaders of character. We need more leadership in our society in every sector. And so everyone that's put on the uniform in the Marine Corps, in the Navy, we need them to drive forward into their personal pursuits and be, again, that leader of character that our society needs. And so I get excited every time I see you. I know that's what you embody and what you're doing yourself. Aligning, I call it aligning your personal interests with your professional production. And you are a great example of that.
Oh, well, thank you. I definitely learned early on. Well, not early on in my journey in the last few years, but not early on in life, that my passion just happened to be able to make it my job like it is for you. So I'm definitely very fortunate there. And you talk about this leadership. I think you said leadership culture. What did you say? You said leadership character.
Leaders of character.
Leaders of character. Is there a story that you can remember where you started to learn that? Did you have leaders that just stood out to you in your mind throughout your career?
Well, I think back, I'm a communications officer by trade, commo, that's telecom for those that don't know, and not media, not marketing. And so I did that my first 7 years in the Marine Corps, very inwardly focused within the Marine Corps and the units I was a staff officer and a platoon commander for. And then I went to Naval Postgraduate School, and I was focused on renewable energy and energy efficiency. This was 2008. And I started engaging more and more external to the Marine Corps across Department of Defense, but also into the Department of Energy, into industry. Fast forward to 2010, when I graduated, I was from 2010 to 2013, I was the technology lead for the Marine Corps for energy on the battlefield. And so that's energy efficiency, renewable energy, traditional generators tied with hybrid systems of energy storage, how we could become more effective with emerging technology. And it gave me the opportunity to engage with academia, engage with industry, engage with labs across the government. And I recognized that the leadership that the Marine Corps had cultivated in me to that point was needed. That not only did it need my thought leadership, but it needed an understanding of centralized intent and decentralized execution. It needed the understanding of a commander's intent that gave a vision that allowed those that were going to execute that vision to get to understand what the objective was. It needed the cultivation, whether someone worked for me or whether they didn't and they were just a partner. It needed the recognition of what I want to, embody for others, but also what I hope that they can embody as well. And that, there's three things that I cultivate in those that are working with me or for me: initiative, it's ownership, and it's self-respect. And with those three things, you can really accomplish anything. And so that's I recognized at that time that not only did a Marine that was working with me need to have those things, and I needed to help them have those things, but someone outside the government, they want to be able to thrive. They want to be able to utilize their initiative. They want to take ownership over things, and they wanted their own personality and the professionalism that they expected themselves to be, the guy. And so, that was the early years of me seeing that, this thing about leadership that we've started to understand, and I've cultivated my own brand within the Marine Corps, actually translated outside.
That's incredible, especially just to hear the way you speak about it. You're not reading a script. This is you, and anyone that doesn't know Brandon, this is Brandon to a T. This is not fake podcast Brandon because he's on TV. This is like what you live and breathe, and it's just to hear your passion as you speak about it. It's motivating. It really is.
Yeah, well, I've been given a fortunate, platform, if you will. I get to be out external and internal to the Marine Corps, leading teams of teams all over and into capabilities and collaborations around those technology areas I spoke about earlier. And so somehow, we were able to cultivate an environment that played to my strength. And I was able to utilize them to that degree. And so I get that freedom to run around and embody those things that I'm talking about now.
Well, and if anyone understands that, it's the guy with the mohawk running around the Pentagon doing what I love every day, because I feel that exactly that. I had that. I some days don't even know how I get to record. Like today, I've recorded 5 podcasts. Like that's what I get paid to do, to talk to amazing people and share their stories. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So,
You can see it. I mean, you can see it on anyone, right? When you find people that have figured out what they're passionate about, and then they unleash their full potential on it, it's an amazing sight, right? And we as a society benefit every time someone does that. We absolutely do.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Earlier, you talked about how the Marine Corps has done a lot for you and your family. I see that right now it's set you up in a nice orange tree behind you. Pretty gorgeous backyard you got there.
Yeah, so I'm in San Diego. I live in between Miramar and Camp Pendleton. Actually, the house my wife grew up in and where her parents live is a mile away. She's Cardiff by the Sea. That's her hometown. She's very proud of that. It's an awesome place, and we go back 4 years ago. I'm on a fellowship at the National Renewable Energy Lab in Colorado. I mentioned I was in energy, led the Marine Corps in energy for a while, and so I'm on a fellowship there, and Lieutenant General Dana, who at the time was Deputy Commandant for Installations and Logistics, 2016, 2017, he read an article that I wrote before it was even published. I sent it to his aide. It was called The Future Mobility for Military Installations, and it was about autonomous vehicles. It was about Lyft and Uber. It was about car sharing. It was about electric vehicles. And so I had been working on this for months during my fellowship and really doing a lot of research and really casting a vision of what I thought was possible. And so he read the article that night. He wrote notes all over it. He sent it to his 2-star general that was over installations at the time and said, I think you need to explore a proof of principle for this. And then they reached out to me and they had me fly to the Pentagon the next week. And what we crafted there that next week, Lieutenant General Dana and I, was this idea of better business models. And And when we looked across the Marine Corps and we said, okay, where do we think we could embody and really drive better business models? There was only one place that made sense. The density of Department of Navy, Navy and Marine Corps personnel in the San Diego region, the fact that it's the 8th largest city in America, and then it is on the West Coast tied to all types of, innovative technology. It was a recognition that this was a place that we could take that type of vision and intent and see what we could do. And that's literally the tasking I had. The general's like, let's see what you can do. And so you talk about commander's intent, not only do I try and cultivate that in what I do, but I had to live in it. And it was a great, incredible way for him to put his moniker and his blessing on me and really challenge me, right? Let's see every skill you can bring to bear to fulfill this vision. And so after I finished the fellowship, we moved back out here to San Diego. And then I've been operating mostly off of Miramar ever since. During COVID, I made my back patio my primary office here because
good choice.
In this area, very tiny houses. And so 1,300 square feet for my 5-member family. And luckily, I've got good enough weather most of the time that I can surge into the backyard with the orange tree.
Of offices to have, it's a pretty darn good one.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been great. And it's been great. I deal with people all over the country, obviously. And usually they're very jealous of the weather that allows me to be here.
Yeah. Well, no, for sure. We lived in San Diego when I was active duty still, and it's just an incredible area. The thermometer is just set to 80, 75 practically all year long. You just can't go wrong there. So you talk about, you've shown the passion you have for what you do and the lessons you've learned. And it's not, for you, what I know about you, Brandon, it's not just about applying the work that you're doing and putting everything you have to making the Marine Corps and the world a better place, but you're also very about sharing that so other people can either learn from you or help empower them to do the same. So much that you've even created this side project with a good friend of yours of a podcast of sharing the lessons you guys have learned.
Yeah. And I'm excited to talk about it because the type of audience that you have across government is exactly who we were thinking about with this podcast called The Art of Maneuver. Our tagline is that we maneuver against the bureaucracy. And so the art of maneuver is, what are the not prescriptive ideas, but the aspirational, philosophy behind how you do that. And so it's 33 principles that I have lived by and cultivate, to be able to be successful, because that's a large bureaucracy out there, and we will not fight it on its own terms.
Yeah.
Just like the tenets of maneuver warfare, we have to surge through the gaps and through the seams, not go strength on strength. And so that's the heart and the spirit of it. And so, it really emerges from something that I learned about myself. I had the advantage of having a transition coach last spring. Great organization called Commit Foundation, a nonprofit. And I applied and they selected me, and then they provided me a coach for 3 months. And
Wow.
In this process of Designing Your Life book, which is awesome, and their modules online, it really is a self-discovery, right? That's really what they're helping you do. And what they help me understand about myself is what I call design, create, inspire. I'm a designer. I've always been a designer. I walk around and I see the world as it could be. I see the next thing as it is, as I could potentially make it. But design's just words. And I know in myself, I've got to go out and prove what that design could be in reality. And so that's where design turns into create. And even when I come into create, and I've created a 5G living lab and we're piloting on that, or we've created unmanned logistics platforms, and we're doing that and showing what that looks like on the battlefield and on bases and on and on. What I recognize in myself is that I'm still not fully satisfied because I need that creation to inspire. I don't want that to just stay with just me or my team or our team of teams or even the capability that we worked on. I think the inspiration of how we did it, the inspiration of what the new technology looks like, and even the inspiration of that anyone could be a designer and a creator. Like everyone has this unique vantage point of the world that the combination of experiences that they've had make them a wholly unique designer. And if they were just knew how to follow that design wisely and move into creation, we could probably progress much more rapidly.
Yeah, that's incredible. Anyone that's listening, I hope you're taking notes here because Brandon here is dropping some gold left and right. And I always appreciate talking to you because I identify with a lot of things that you're saying. I've always found us similar, but we're like two different sides of the coin where I kind of operate a little bit like bureaucracy, maneuvering through bureaucracy. If anyone identifies with that, it's a guy with Bureaucracy Slayer in his LinkedIn profile. So I just appreciate the way you put words to things though. I operate in a very, I think verbally. So I'm not so good. It's funny that I'm a podcast host now because I've never been good at the formulating the words, but for me it works. But I do appreciate the way you talk about things, and the last thing of your thing right there, those three inspire. The way you speak is inspiring because of your passion, because you're not reading a script. You believe these through and through, and it's what makes you. Tell us a little bit. So you talked about the 5G Living Lab. Let's change gears a little bit. That's a cool tech bridge thing you've been involved in. I think maybe you're involved in before tech bridges, but tell us what that is.
Yeah. I mentioned that I've been doing this for 4 years since Lieutenant General Dana helped send me out here at the time. And so before I took over as the director for SoCal Tech Bridge, I was running Installation Next efforts out here, as I mentioned earlier, smart city efforts. And when I was asked to take over the SoCal Tech Bridge, what we did is we built around the momentum and the opportunities that we had already cultivated. So we formed the tech bridge around that, if you will. And so it's a great advantage, right? So I'd been cultivating the ecosystem out here. I'd been creating partnerships and collaborations. And these are some of the things you hear me, talk about, kind of like in metaphor or whatever, but thought leadership is tilling the ground, right? You want to cultivate an ecosystem of innovation, not just a single crop yield. Yeah. And so these are the things that I've had to learn the hard way. I've had to figure these things out the hard way. And I don't think I want people to build on the foundation of that and take it even further. And that's why I do the podcast and put that information out there. For the 5G Living Lab, we started in 2017. I mentioned we were doing mobility and autonomous vehicle work. We did a collaborative research and development agreement with Qualcomm. Qualcomm, huge chip, manufacturer for smart capabilities, around the world. They happen to be right outside Miramar as their headquarters. Perfect. And so they were working on connected vehicles capabilities. So vehicles that would communicate with other vehicles communicate with infrastructure, with your cell phone as you're walking across the pedestrian walkway. And so the collaborative research allowed them to come onto the base, onto our autonomous vehicle proving grounds for their own developmental, progress and testing. And what we received in kind was market forecasting and developmental insights. We were understanding the markets that they were shaping. And one of the things we started to learn is that this thing called 5G, which no one really understood, we knew it was something about, cell phones working better, maybe. but it's so much more. And we started to understand that in 2017 with our access to Qualcomm. And not only that, but it was going to disrupt vehicle industry and transportation, but disrupt many markets as well. And so we were looking for an opportunity to close our knowledge gap, to earn our seat at the table of what 5G was going to look like in the future. What we didn't want to do was to sit on our hands like what DoD would typically do. We'd wait for this commercially driven capability to emerge. And then maybe 10 years later, we would get through requirements development, make sense of it, and actually produce something. We knew that there was an opportunity here in the region and using Miramar as a living lab to do much more on behalf of all of DoD. So we had a relationship with the city of San Diego to work on smart city projects together. The city actually sent Verizon to us. They said, hey, look, this Installation X program is really pushing the boundaries and we think you'd enjoy talking with them. So we met with Verizon in 2018. We built a vision together of what a 5G living lab would be on a base. And we agreed that Miramar was a great opportunity to do it. And so we set a vision and then we started iterating on that vision. We started fighting the bureaucracy on actually installing a network and growing the network. And then fast forward, this past July 2020, we actually turned on the first 5G small cell on any military base in the country. Now, that became a 5G network because a 5G network is built on 4G LTE, just like all of us utilize as we walk around town today with our smartphones. But then you surge with capability in these nodes of 5G within that network. And so with that capability, now we're not just talking cell phones. We're really talking Internet of Things into so many areas. And so really an unlock of connectivity and capability sector after sector. We know that we'd be at a disadvantage to understand that future. And so we said, look, we want to learn from Verizon. We want to have a partnership with Verizon, co-designers at the same table, crafting the opportunity both for us to learn what the future looked like and for them to show what the future looks like. And so today we have an active 5G living lab. We're doing pilots, a couple of different pilots that I'll share with you here today that are showing 5G enabled technology. But I'll pause there.
That's incredible. And I think the way you explain it is 5G, I think still is unknown to anyone that doesn't know, anyone that's not in that space. So to hear that you guys were working that before anyone knew, before they knew, and like all I know about 5G is that sometimes my phone says 5G, but now you just told me that it's using 4G.
Yeah, well, see, this is the key, right? So the same way that a Verizon and an AT&T and the other carriers, what do they want you as the customer to be able to do? They want you to be able to seamlessly walk through their network, no matter if you're on a 4G signal, you're on a 5G signal, it is transparent to you. But whenever it's possible, they want to surge enhanced capability to you. And that's just for a customer with a cell phone. The thing that 5G is complementing, unlocking beyond that is connected vehicles. It's unlocking how we're going to communicate with our infrastructure and collect more data. It's unlocking how we're going to leverage artificial intelligence across multiple sectors. And so we actually built the 5G Living Lab to explore 4 primary areas. I've mentioned connected vehicles, drones. The future of drones is actually through cellular, not through RF signal. And you can imagine what type of explosion and growth that would be in capability. Yeah. Another one is what we call the digital fortress. So security of a base and the capabilities that can be unlocked through this cellular surge, if you will, cellular transformation. That's another area. And then our final one is we call energy communications. And it's how infrastructure today, we have to over rely on fiber being installed. It's a nightmare to get anything installed on a base. And so because it's a static, installation, here we have ubiquitous dynamic coverage to surge into all these different areas of connectivity and unlock. And so it's really exciting, the types of things that we're building in our pilots.
That's incredible. That's just, is there, for those that are like, hey, I need to get involved in this, how do they get involved with the Tech Bridge and the 5G Living Lab and things like that?
Yeah, so we always build around opportunity, right? And so we start with vision, and then we iterate from there. So one thing we're doing right now is we had a 5G pitch day in October. Started with 50 companies. We had 10 companies actually pitch to us in October, and we awarded 4 of them $50,000 checks. NavalX Pacific, who's a great partner of ours here in the region, and Marissa Brand, who's on my steering committee for the Tech Bridge, who is from NavalX Pacific. So we led that effort, and with awarding these 4 companies, not only did they receive a check, but they also received the opportunity to work with Verizon and work with us to demonstrate their capability. Now, at the time, we were planning on bringing them to us on the base. And with COVID protocols in industry, not necessarily for us, we recognized that that wasn't going to be possible for these companies. And so we pivoted. And so we actually went to them. So I just got home last night from a 10-day trip around the country, where I took a video crew, a Marine with film, camera, and we went to them for their demonstration. So we were in Austin, Texas. We were in Northern Virginia. We were in Jacksonville, Florida. And luckily, the 4th one was just up the road near LA. And so I didn't have to get on a plane for that one. But it was just a great opportunity to incubate opportunity for these 4 companies. We as the government are closing some of our learning objectives of knowing what 5G enabled technology looks like in the future. What should a 5G network do? How does it do it? How do we write effective requirements to it? And Verizon's learning right with us, right? They're getting to see the beauty of capitalism and small business innovation through this type of incubation effort that we led. We're actually going to put on a public event in late April, virtual public event, highlighting what we learned and these companies in the 5G Living Lab. And so we'll be advertising that through our SoCal Tech Bridge LinkedIn page coming up.
Fantastic. What else did you learn? Let's go back to the Marine Corps a little bit. You said 20 years you're coming up on or more?
20 years. Yep. So I'm going to retire right at 20 years on August 1st. Excited about that next chapter.
Exactly 20 years?
Exactly.
Look at that. That's fantastic. Where have you been able to, of the places you can share, have you been able to travel the world, or have you been stuck in the States, or where have you ended up?
Yeah. So we've lived in about the best places that the Marine Corps could afford us to live. I started out, we all start out in Quantico, Virginia as officers, and then with the basic school. I came out here to Camp Pendleton first, got married here, and a month later we moved to Hawaii. We had 3 years in Hawaii. Then I went to Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey. Did electrical engineering there. Then we went back to DC in Northern Virginia for me to work at the Pentagon when I was doing the technology lead for expeditionary energy. Let's see, then from there we came back to Camp Pendleton, 2013 to 16. I get to live in Southern California again. Then we had that 1 year stint at the fellowship in Colorado, which is amazing. Not many Marines get a chance to live in Colorado. And then we came back here. And then I've been on Miramar for these past 4 years. So been a phenomenal pathway of moving to awesome places. It's still difficult at times, to pick up everything and go, especially with young kids. But we've been very fortunate in the places we've been and possible to live. As far as seeing the world, I've seen a lot of the world in Iraq. I've seen a lot of the world in Afghanistan. Uh, I was able to go on a mission to Haiti following the 2010 earthquake, and that was that was an incredible mission to be on to help such a devastation and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief like that. So those were the key deployments all through the years. Kind of consumed us.
Wow. That's I mean, that's what I don't think people fully understand, who aren't familiar with the military, the sacrifice that your family goes through as you move and change and travel, and kids jump school from school to school, and there's so many blessings and there's so many positive things, but there's also a lot of struggle. And you talk to that, and that's it's just incredible to see that your family's still going, because unfortunately some don't, and they're defeated by those struggles. So it's awesome to see that still going. You clearly have an incredible strong partner. That she probably does most of the work. Let's be honest.
Oh man, my wife Sarah, just phenomenal. I mean, one, more patriotic than I am, and so she believes in this mission. She believes in what we do and what the Marine Corps stands for this country, and why we do it. It is by far the harder job is to be the spouse.
Yeah.
We as Marines know when we're in danger. We know whenever we're out on a mission, and we get to be kind of one track mind in those. And there's someone else that's holding everything together back there without us, right? Unknowing of where we're at, what we're doing, and then having to blend us back into their lives and the kids' lives when we come back. And so it is phenomenal what every spouse does for with the service member. It's an incredible partnership. I don't think it can be done well without seeing it that way. And so, man, I am appreciative every day. I don't deserve it.
Just keep taking her to all these great locations, and you'll probably be all right. So what else, Brandon? What else should people know about you? Life lessons, whatever you want to share. Now's your chance.
Yeah. So let me tell you more of some of the things we're doing on the base. We are.
Yeah.
I mentioned a number of the 5G enabled stuff we're doing. We've got an autonomous shuttle on the base called the Ollie from Local Motors. We're actually doing package delivery on the base with this. So distribution management office who receives packaging on the base and then has to dish it out to the tenants. They're actually using this week was the kickoff to that deployment of the capability for the next 3 months.
Awesome.
As they move the packaging around the base. What's so incredible about that is not only are we seeing, like many cities are trying to see right now, what do low speed autonomous shuttles do for you in your environment, in your ecosystem, but we also have principal investigators that are studying it so that we can project those capabilities into operations for the future. How does unmanned logistics, displace risk to life and enable how we move resupplies, whether it's around a base or from patrol base to fire team. So we actually have a whole unmanned logistics portfolio, one of our strategic technology areas. Office of Secretary of Defense has been funding a project with us for 2 years. We're going to get to show this off in late June 23rd, the unmanned logistics demo. So we took market forecasting and research from what FedEx, UPS, even shipping companies are doing on the ground side, and then Uber Elevate working on air taxis, Uber Eats working on like delivering drones, McDonald's via drones. So we were able to learn from these relationships that we cultivate through the years to understand what the future looks like commercially. Then we took those capabilities, we model and sim them onto the battlefield of the future in an unclassed environment to see what are the concepts of employment that become so important for how we're going to meet the needs of service members and Marines on the ground. And then we looked for rapid prototyping opportunities. And so excited. We showed off an incredible rapid prototype last July. We had a crowd of Marines and industry folks come around that and give us feedback. And now we've iterated on that, and we're building the second one right now. And so we're going to show that off in June at Marine Corps Station Miramar in this unmanned logistics event. And so it's just very exciting to not only show what the technology looks like, but what are the concepts of employment that come with that technology that transform how we fight. Logistics is a war-fighting function. Today, we need to get a capability. We need to get a resupply to a patrol base. What do? Well, the second I need a driver for that vehicle, I start to compound the risk to life. I put an A driver next to him in the vehicle. Not only that, I'll put a gun truck in front of him with more Marines. I'll put a gun truck behind him with more Marines. And you can see the first risk to life just compounds. And whenever I'm now risking life to that degree, what do? I start to aggregate all the resupplies together, and I wait longer and longer until I mass enough. And so what we're seeing from unmanned logistics in the future is not only will I remove the risk to life for some of these missions, but the second I do, I can start to transform how I resupply. I can now distribute my risk to goods. I no longer have to aggregate. And so now I can have a discrete mission to Patrol Base Alpha. I can have another mission at a different time to Patrol Base Bravo. These types of capabilities, these unlocks with the technology change how we think of, completing our mission in the future. And that's why it's so critical why we show what the realm of the possible looks like in these types of scenarios.
That's incredible. Some awesome technology that you guys are working on. Some stuff, again, your passion, anything you talk about is like you're a little kid just living your dream.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, we're doing national security by engaging with industry, encouraging them to expedite to their commercial markets. Let's have those air taxis faster. Let's have these autonomous vehicles faster. And not only that, we want to help skyline your efforts, because we know the sooner you realize on your market, the sooner we're going to realize in ours, right? Yeah. And so it truly is an unlock to what we call dual use technology. And we think there's a critical role that we can play in engaging with these partnerships the way we do.
That's incredible. So is there anything else, I'll ask again, anything else as we close, anything else you want to share? I mean, we could talk for days and days as two podcast hosts here. So anything else you want to highlight about your time in the Marine Corps or the work you guys are doing out there? The stage is yours once again.
Yeah, I guess I would just leave with kind of iterating again the opportunity across the Department of the Navy and all the folks that are connecting with NavalX, that are watching your podcast, that are taking encouragement, right? Taking inspiration from other people that are disrupting out there. Every one of us, it's going to take every one of us. The competitive advantage in this country is that every one of us have an opportunity to not only make a better life for us and our family, but actually realize on our skills, take risks, and change the world, if you will. And that is the competitive advantage. It is not a top-down. I call capitalism the greatest form of crowdsourcing ever invented, right? You combine capitalism with a democratic republic, and that is what has made us so uniquely suited to unlock human potential in so many ways, not only in our country, but around the world. And so that remains our competitive advantage. The fact that if you work in a lab for the Department of Navy, or if you are in industry and you are pursuing your dreams to realize on the risk that you're taking, that all of us together actually have a lot riding on your success. And so we want you to be as wise as possible. We want you to take risks. We want you to do iterative design, right? We want you to do co-creation. And so we want you to reach the market. And then we want to understand what it is that you're transforming, how it fits across anywhere in the defense sector, and how we can help unlock the future with you.
Well, on that note, we're good. So, Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Newell, we really appreciate you coming on today and sharing not only your story, your Marine story, the great work you're doing out there at Marine MCAS Miramar, some of the great stuff you're doing with the NavalX Tech Bridge. Just thanks for coming on, man.
All right, Matt. Thanks for having me. Keep charging, buddy.
Will do. And Brandon, don't go away. Everyone else, have a great day. All right. So real quick, are you good with all that, by the way?
Yeah.
Anything you missed? You want me to stitch in or anything?
No, it was good.
Okay.
I mean, I think
It was great. No, it was awesome. Olivia, how was it? She said great. So I recently learned from a speaker coach, Joel Weldon, to actually start to record my intros after. So because then
okay.
I'm fresh with what we just talked about. So
Yep.
I'm gonna record our intro real quick.
Okay.